It's 10:17 on a Tuesday night. You're on the couch, half watching TV, and you remember suddenly a detail about tomorrow's filing. You grab your phone. You fire off a quick email to your associate. 30 seconds, no big deal, right? Except, on the other end of that email, your associate's stomach has just dropped, getting ready for bed, and all of a sudden they get the email. They start drafting a response at 10:22 p.m., not because it's urgent, but because you sent it. And in their mind, that means it must need attention right now. Welcome to the Free Lawyer Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Miles. Here's what I have learned after 46 years of practicing law and over 3 decades managing a firm. You just ran the most powerful training program in your firm, and you didn't even know it. Today, we're going to talk about the invisible curriculum running your firm. The lessons you are teaching every single day through your behavior and not just your words. And I promise you, by the end of this episode, you will never look at a late night email in the same way again. I live this. I was the managing partner sending those emails. 46 years practicing, 30 plus years running my own firm. I trained people this way without realizing it. Through my own transformation, I discovered that the patterns I was modeling were passing the external authority trap to the next generation. And this is the work I do inside the Free Lawyer Framework. I help successful elite attorneys lead differently. One of my clients told me, Gary, I realized I was teaching my associates to build the exact same prison that I was trying to escape. And that stopped me in my tracks because I'd done the exact same thing. What I want you to know is your firm has 2 training programs. The one is the one that you designed. Great continuing legal education, teaching your associates everything they need to know about their niche in law, the substantive law, the process, how to properly present a case, and the mentoring program you've set up where each associate has a senior attorney in the firm to guide them and answer their questions and support them, and a great onboarding process to get them fully acclimated to your firm and how you do things. There's that training program. But then there's also the one that nobody designed, that no one talks about, that no one really has identified, because it's the invisible curriculum. And it's taught entirely through your behavior. You say, take your weekends, don't burn out. But if they see you emailing Saturday morning and working through vacation, what message do they actually believe? The invisible curriculum is how the external authority trap gets passed from one generation of lawyers to the next. There are 5 lessons that you're accidentally teaching to the junior lawyers in your firm. You don't mean to, but you are. The first lesson is that your value as a lawyer equals your complete availability. You teach your associates that a good lawyer is always on, always answering the phone, responding to emails promptly, answering emails at 10:30 at night. That's what a good lawyer is. Not a prepared lawyer, not a strategic lawyer, an available lawyer. The most destructive lesson in the legal profession is that, because it replaces genuine competence with complete availability. Your staff stop asking, am I doing excellent work? And they start asking instead, am I responding fast enough? That is external authority in action. The second lesson is that perfectionism equals professionalism. Perfection means never stopping. Reworking the draft time and time again, 7 or 8 reviews of it until you have made it absolutely perfect. But your associates learn that good enough doesn't exist, and they can never feel confident no matter how many hours they pour in, because in some way, maybe another review will help. Maybe it's not perfect. They're afraid of making a mistake. You're not teaching excellence, you're teaching fear. And the third lesson is that boundaries are a weakness. If you never protect your evenings, your associates will learn that boundaries are for people who aren't truly serious about their career. They've watched you cancel personal plans, skip health appointments, sacrifice weekends. And they conclude that's what real commitment looks like. The unspoken rule becomes, if you set a boundary, you're not dedicated enough. Your best associates, the ones who could lead your firm for decades, they don't see a path where they can be both excellent and have a life. So they leave, they walk out the door. The third lesson is that trust means over-delivering. When you can't stop working on a matter that's already well prepared, you're teaching your associates that trust isn't built through solid preparation. It's built through excessive effort. Always grinding, always working, never letting it go, never stopping. They never develop the judgment to know when their work is actually done and complete, when it's actually ready. And the next lesson is that success requires personal sacrifice. And this is the most dangerous lesson of all. Because when your associates watch you sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your personal time, sacrificed on the altar of professional achievement, they learn this most dangerous lesson. Sacrifice is the price of success. Your talented people will either burn out trying to follow your model, or they will leave the profession entirely, and neither serves your firm. So what's the real cost of this? It's not just about feelings. Your talent will walk out the door. They don't tell you why, they just leave. And when they leave, what goes with them? The institutional knowledge, all those years and expense of training and preparation, their connection with their clients, they're all gone. And you have to start over again. Your culture becomes your ceiling. Your firm can only grow as far as its people can stretch. And you stretch them too far already. Everyone's already at the breaking point. And of course, succession becomes impossible. If your firm's success depends on heroic personal effort, and if you've trained your team to repeat and replicate that same unsustainable model, who's going to take over? You've built a practice that can't function without you, and you've trained a team that will burn out trying to maintain it. That's not a succession plan. That's a ticking clock. If you're listening to this and thinking, he's describing my firm, I want you to know, this is exactly the kind of pattern we address inside the Free Lawyer Framework. I work one-to-one with managing partners and senior successful attorneys who are ready to lead differently. Head over to GaryMiles.net and schedule a courtesy coaching call, or you can click the link below. Let's talk about what this looks like for you specifically. So I'm going to talk about now why you're really sending that email at 10 p.m. You know, it's not actually the filing detail you remembered. It's not that you thought, oh, there's one point we might have missed. It's actually much deeper than that. See, in the external authority trap, your worth is tied to being indispensable. You have built your career by being the most responsive, the most prepared, and the most available person possible. Your worth in your own mind is tied to being indispensable. You check your email at 10 p.m. not because the matter requires it, but because your identity demands it. The quiet question underneath is, if I'm not working, who am I? But there's an alternative, which I call internal authority. And internal authority means your confidence comes from preparation, competence, and commitment. Not from proving those things at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night when your associate's getting ready for bed. When you operate from internal authority, you can close the laptop because you trust your work speaks for itself. You can evaluate your own commitment to your client, your preparation, your effort, and you know you've done well, and you know that that project the work product is fine. It's excellent. And when you make the shift to internal authority, your associates grow and they learn so much when you make that shift. And these are some of the most important lessons. That confidence comes from preparation and not from panic. When you're prepared, when you know your case, and I know I tried a lot of cases, at the end I was much better at this, but I was so well prepared, I could go to sleep the night before a jury trial and fall asleep. I wasn't living in panic, and you don't need to live in panic. I've worked with people who panicked all the time. Every day was a crisis, and there really weren't any crisis if we were prepared. I've also learned that boundaries are professional strength, not weakness. Boundaries help us to gain better respect from our clients, and they also model self-respect to those who work for us. When we make it clear we're not working past 6 p.m. on a weeknight, when we say every other Saturday we're going to take the day off completely and not look at our phone, when we tell clients that sometimes we can't take their call because we're working on other clients' matters, but we'll call them back that day, we show strength and respect. A great lawyer knows when to stop because they trust their own judgment. That's another lesson your attorneys will learn when you make the shift to internal authority. You will know when your work is prepared. You will know when it's excellent. You'll know that you don't need to dive back in and review it again. And your associates will learn to trust their judgment like you trust theirs. See, attorneys who operate from internal authority think more clearly, make sharper decisions, and serve clients better because they're running on clarity and not adrenaline. But more than that, they have a life. They're able to have a practice which is sustainable and enjoyable. They will look forward to going to work on Monday instead of dreading it on Sunday night. So let me suggest 3 shifts, if this thought appeals to you, of making this transfer from external authority to internal authority. 3 shifts you can make this week. The first is to audit your invisible curriculum. For 1 week, just notice every after-hour email, every weekend you work, every personal thing for your family you skip to work, every appointment for yourself that you didn't keep, every time you skip going to the gym because you had too much work to do, every boundary you override, and ask, if my associates were watching me right now, what would they conclude? What would they think about the practice of law and how I practice it? The second shift you could make is schedule it, don't send it. You can write that email at 10 p.m., but schedule it to go out at 8 a.m. Capture the thought. The work will get done, but don't teach your team that 10 p.m. is normal, and that simple change is deceptively powerful. And the third shift is to name the norm out loud. Tell your team directly. If I send an email after hours, I do not want, and it does not require, an immediate response from you, unless I specifically say it's urgent. Model vulnerability to your staff. Give them permission to be off at night. You know, every email you send after hours answers a question that your associates are silently asking. What kind of lawyer do I need to become to succeed here? The answer you give through your actions, not just your words, shapes the future of your firm, the health of your team, and the kind of profession we're building for the next generation. You have the power to change that answer. Not someday, this very week. The real question is not whether your associates are watching. They are, trust me. The real question is, what kind of lawyers are you creating? If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Head over to GaryMiles.net and schedule a courtesy coaching call. This is exactly the kind of transformation we work on inside the Free Lawyer Framework, helping you shift from the external authority trap to internal authority so you can lead with sustainable excellence and build a practice that serves your life rather than consumes it. And if you know a managing partner or a senior attorney who needs to hear this, share this episode with them. Sometimes the most important gift you can give a colleague is permission to lead differently. Until next time, practice law with purpose and live your life with freedom. Have a great rest of your day.